When people hear the term advertising, I think that people imagine traditional giant billboards and a bunch of Mad Men-esque scenes that depict pitching to gentlemen in a suit and tie. However, advertising is so much different and more complex than it was 10 or 20 years ago. And today we're going to talk about what the industry looks like today, my experience, and tips on breaking into the advertising industry. Hi, I'm Erika. I've been working in advertising for about 2 years now, and I'm currently a senior strategist at a media advertising agency. What is advertising? So advertising isn't just one thing like it used to be. There's so many different departments that you can work in that are within the overarching profession. Firstly, you can either work in-house, so at an actual company, or at an agency where there are many clients that you contract and you work more so on a project basis. Consulting, strategy, research, creative, marketing, investment are all popular examples of areas that people occupy roles in. There are so many different departments within advertising, such as HR teams, finance people, analysts. So not every role in advertising is salesy as you might traditionally think of. I work in the media/investment side of advertising, so that consists of working with a client to place their advertising dollars in different media channels. So to break this down a bit more, I work at an agency, and let's say this agency puts me on a skincare account, and the client, so the skincare account that I work on, comes to my team and says, hi, we have X amount of advertising dollars that we want to use for our upcoming campaign, and we'd like your team to help us place those dollars on media channels such as TV, out-of-home, digital, radio, and streaming. So now it's my team's job to be like half project managers and half strategists to figure out how we're going to place the dollars and to really manage that money from start to finish. So my role consists of a ton of finance, planning, management, as well as measurement and reporting, which typically happens post-campaign. Some aspects that I really enjoy about my role are doing research to come up with insights to bring to the client on how we can better plan or be more cost efficient. And I also really enjoy being able to see a campaign from start to finish and kind of measure how well it did. So the advertising industry has a lot of perks and unique opportunities, such as working from home or working abroad, traveling for work, as well as meeting clients and meeting partners in person and being able to speak about business and just go to a lot of fun events. You know, although I'm early in my career, I've been to the sports games, the dinners, the rooftops, a lot of higher up team members of mine who are directors and have been to things like the Super Bowl. So a lot of unique opportunities that have to do with our work that we often get to attend. However, advertising roles can be really stressful and require a lot of attention to detail. It's often for people who are comfortable working with many different teams or different agencies, as well as being comfortable speaking in front of other people. So maybe not for someone who's more introverted or who likes to just focus on one thing. So now, what are some tips on breaking into the industry? Well, the good news is that in my experience, advertising agencies and in-house companies are typically always hiring, and it's pretty probable to get a role since you don't always have to have a bunch of advertising related experience. Tip number 1, networking. So while this tip is common among many other professions, I think that it's especially important to the advertising industry, connecting with mutual friends, mutual family, even peers that you might have in college or alumni that are in the industry and can maybe get you a spot at an internship or an apprenticeship or even just an assistant role is so valuable. There's so many people that I know, like peers or people that I've worked with who've been referred, especially because a lot of agencies will oftentimes give you compensation for referring someone and that person getting the role and staying there for a while. So that's having mutual connections is really important. And even if you don't know anyone, like I didn't, connecting with people like on LinkedIn with an appropriate message in the request is another pretty effective way. I would say most opportunities in life, but also in advertising, just show up if you're at the right place at the right time with the right skill set. So although a lot of it has to do with luck, it's also with what you can do with the resources that you have. And I also want to speak about the importance of networking when you get your foot in the industry, because the media industry and advertising industry is actually so small. Like, there's only a couple of conglomerates that exist, and a lot of times people jump from agency to agency and you meet someone that you worked with a little bit at an old job. So even if you do get your foot in the door, it's really important to kind of keep connections with people who are smart, people who can help you in your career, because that really goes a long way. Tip number 2, gaining relevant experience through internships and apprenticeships. So if you're having a hard time getting accepted to an associate or an assistant role at an advertising agency, internships or apprenticeships are a really great way to get your foot in the door. In my opinion, advertising is one of those industries where relevant experience outweighs a master's degree. Most of the material in our roles is a process, a task, system that we have to use. So it's nothing that you would have really learned in school. It's just kind of learning as you go and being a quick learner, taking notes, things like that. My advice to anyone who's looking to break in is to just start small and get an assistant role or an associate role anywhere in the advertising industry, and then working your way up. And internships and apprenticeships are a great way to get your foot in the door if you're having a rough time getting accepted. Tip number 3, demonstrating you're right for the role. Again, this is true for most jobs, but for example, if you're in an interview or even if you do get hired, it's important to really demonstrate that you're here to show up, that you're a fast learner, that you can acclimate to many different environments and many different tasks that you might have, because while some roles might be more linear, others, such as mine, you have to wear a lot of different hats. So just someone who's flexible and who's able to learn quickly is such an important trait. Taking initiative, taking notes, and keeping a track record of things that you've worked on or you've achieved in your role in advertising or even in other roles is really important. And it'll really help you move up, because when it's time for promotions or end of year reviews and you feel like it's time for you to get a raise, you can bring up those points and show how good of a worker you were. In sum, advertising is a really interesting space. Advertising and marketing jobs are literally the backbone of the American economy. So there's so many roles out there, and like I said in the beginning of the video, not all of them are salesy or what you might think of as a traditional advertising job. The advertising industry has really grown past what it was originally in the 50s and 60s of being, traditionally men sitting in these rooms pitching ideas, but it's really diverse now, in my opinion, and there's a lot you can do, right? It's not just marketing roles, it's many different teams that are working together for a similar goal. I hope this video provides you a nice overview of the advertising industry and my experience and tips on breaking in if you're interested. Thank you so much for watching.